Yep.
Is it going? Oh, hey, what do you know, folks? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast that comes out on Tuesday. What is it? Tuesdays? Yeah, Tuesdays.
Wednesdays.
Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome
It's
back.
the Roll for Dex podcast. My name is Connor.
My name is Ian.
And today, we got a lot of Star Wars stuff to talk about. So
Lots of
let's
Star
get
Wars.
right back into it. Welcome back to the Roll for Dex podcast. We need no more reminders. It's Connor and Ian.
Hello.
I'm going to say it anyways because whatever.
Yeah. Hey,
Might
no,
as well.
it's just become part of the spiel at this point.
You know, it is. It's just all of it together. Oh, hey, what do you know?
Hey, what do you know? Connor has come for me emotionally at the end of this episode. I'm just going to leave this as a little precursor here, but he is coming for me.
Targeted. Absolutely targeted. Everything was targeted about this.
All right.
But
Star Wars today.
we've got some Star Wars stuff to talk about, and it's been a little bit since we talked about some Star Wars stuff.
Because to be fair, up until now, there hasn't really been good Star Wars shit to talk about.
But the real question is Star Wars Star Warsing again?
That's an interesting way of putting it, but I hope not.
Wait, why?
Oh, wait, Star Wars.
No,
Star Wars.
we want Star
you
Wars
meant in
to
a
Star
good
Wars,
way.
dude.
I understood
We want
that in a bad way.
we want to just not care about. We just want. I want
We
good
just want
content.
good Star Wars content. Yeah.
I want good content. I don't want to deal with politics. I don't want to you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just give me good fucking content.
Good content.
Speaking of good content and
Question mark.
Star Wars Outlaws is finally coming out. We've talked about it on the podcast.
We
and
have.
It sounded fantastic, but from the
we-
trailer, I am disappointed.
Yeah, we were a lot more excited about this probably 3-4 months ago.
This game was supposed to solve my Star Wars itch for gaming, but you know, after seeing this trailer, I'm not hopeful. It really didn't really. The graphics were meh, but not just that. The graphics were the character models. The character models looked horrible. They looked so Neanderthalic.
Which is frustrating because
Is that
in
even a
theory
word?
that
It is now.
It is now. The fact with that trailer is that trailer in theory was pre-rendered. So that's what a pre-rendered image looks like in this universe. Like, what's it gonna look like when my computer's trying to keep up with it, loading new areas?
I'm just not. It didn't look good. It really didn't.
It didn't look good, but the thing that honestly pisses me off more about that game is the fact that for $70, $70, you're not even getting the full game.
No,
you
gotta
have-
pay. You gotta pay what is it? You gotta pay $30 more.
40. It's $110 to get extra missions.
Off rip, and they're exclusive, and they're limited time for some reason too.
Oh, it's
so
asinine.
The only thing I can see that the reason for this push for the AAA developer games to start pricing their stuff at $70 instead of the traditional $59.99. The reason for this is because everybody's trying to switch over to that streaming model, the subscription model.
Yep,
and if you look at it, Ubisoft Plus gives you the Star Wars Outlaws for $17.99 a month. Now, if you are just playing the single player game to just play it through and not replay the game, and you really want to cheese the system, I'm sure Ubisoft Plus has a fucking free month.
Oh, sure,
thing.
somewhere, yeah.
And you could probably beat the game within a month.
But the thing about it is, it's a single player game, and
that's my biggest gripe.
$70? I get it; it's expensive to make this stuff. It is, but I think Helldivers was $40, and that's a massive online multiplayer game.
But it goes back to these big developers saying, "Oh, you guys can't really compare us to these small developing companies and stuff like that." I'm like, "No, yes we can, because you're trash and these guys are better." It's
And not and but like I would understand that argument if the quality of the games at $70 was better than the quality of the games at $40, but the quality
I
has
don't think
been
there's a single $70 game that has come out
no.
or been like projected that has come close to being worth $70.
The only one I can think of is Red Dead 2 when it first came out.
Red Dead 2 was 70.
I think it was like 60, 70. Yeah, it was in that realm. You can check me on that if you want. But point being, AAA games just aren't the go-to anymore, and they still think that they are. Sure, they're still selling, and this is the frustrating thing: is Star Wars Outlaws is still going to sell millions of copies, right? People are
I
still
mean,
going to
everybody's
buy
going to
it.
want to play it. I,
Yeah.
too, want to play it. I need to figure out, because I get it, because I have a PS5, and there's different tiers to the PS Plus now. There's like the standard $10 a month, or whatever it is, and you get like no access to streaming games. But if you upgrade to like $17.99 a month, then you get access to like stream hundreds of games for free,
Which,
like hundreds of games, not for free, for $17
yeah, yeah.
a month. But like I am like without download, by the way. It's
Oh, just
kind of
off
cool.
rip. Yeah.
It's kind of cool. So like I literally just loaded up Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh,
Don't have
sweet.
it downloaded, don't like anything, just was like, all right, I'm going to play this game, and it loaded right up.
Do you remember when games were like that and you could just boot it up without having to download anything?
Discs. I remember discs.
I miss, like, I didn't think I would say this because as game quality got better, I got excited, but also I want to go back to that time.
Like
I'm
it was
tired.
just such a simpler time when I
Yeah.
could have a 250 gig hard drive and it could hold 7 games instead of only being able to hold Call of Duty.
If I buy a game, I don't want to have to wait 8 hours. It's not actually 8 hours, but 8 hours.
It is
for
8
to
hours
download.
in some cases.
Yeah. Internet speeds may vary, but
Yeah, but it's also trash ass download services. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's not my fault that Steam's and Battle.net is notorious for being
Battle.net's
so
terrible.
slow.
Battle.net's terrible.
I get
Epic's
such
not great either.
Epic and Battle.net, I don't know what's going on. Fix your shit. But like,
God.
it literally, my download speeds are so much slower on those two platforms comparative to anything else.
Yeah.
And like, not for nothing, I pay for good internet. Like,
Yeah. So,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's just I mean, like, we'll see what they're able to polish between now and then. Do you know when it's releasing? I don't remember offhand.
Oh, I don't remember.
Here, let me just do a nice little quick Google search. August 30th. So like, let's see what they do between now and August 30th. Maybe they'll fix it. Maybe they'll put more time into the graphics or whatever. But right now, I am not jazzed about it.
Not impressed. Score out of 10?
I'll sit at a solid 5 just because it could really go either way right now.
Ooh, 4.7.
4.7. Okay, so still in kind of like the middle of the pack area, but a little bit lower. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of bad.
That makes sense.
I think it's just going to be kind of bad. I think it's going to play like Jedi Survivor, and I'm not going to like it.
Which is fine. I mean, I don't hate the Jedi Survivor.
I don't hate the Jedi Survivor
model.
play, but I just don't. If I wanted to play Jedi Survivor, I'd play Jedi Survivor. If I wanted to play it with a gun, I could just play Jedi Survivor, and not use my lightsaber.
That's fair.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll see what ends up happening, but right now, not terribly excited for it. One thing that I am excited to hear about, though, is I believe you just watched the Tales of the Empire trailer, which just came out the other
Yes,
day.
it did, and it is coming to Disney Plus on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you.
And I
But
assume it'll be another probably 6 to 8 episodes, 15-minute a piece thing, kind of like Tales of the Jedi.
I'm
But what are your
hoping so,
thoughts?
but this is going to be so cool. I've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. I wanted a like origin story for some of these dark side characters. Like we see Barriss, but Barriss was like in Clone Wars, but after she gets taken, like once she's caught, like we don't see her again. Like I
Yeah,
like being able to see what's happening after this. This is kind of cool. Like we're starting to see the seeds of the Sith reaching to where they need to reach.
and it's one of those, like, it's one of the last loose threads that they haven't touched on since Clone Wars, and I'm glad that we're finally getting it. I think one thing that they've done with this series, both Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire, is they've picked characters and storylines that people want to know about. Like Tales of the Jedi, we got Ahsoka and we got Count Dooku. It was really cool to see Count Dooku's kind of story before everything, right? Because we hadn't
Yeah.
seen that. Barriss, you mentioned for Tales of the Empire, and like honestly, it seems like a little bit of like recency bias, probably, but the Morgan Elsbeth stuff, I think could actually be really interesting. A night sister that becomes kind of like a pseudo
A
apprentice follower.
badass.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolute badass. Those sickles?
Oh yeah, that yeah, that looked really fucking cool.
Like, what are we doing, Disney?
I
That's
don't know,
lit.
but I like it a lot.
I liked it. It looked
Um,
sick.
And by the way, that trailer had no reason to go that hard and be
Dude,
that
it
good.
was like, you know, those videos when you're scrolling through TikTok and it's those fan edits of like the epic, like stitched togethers of like,
All the
I remember your father from the Clone Wars. Like, and it cuts back to Anakin and he's like,
yeah. Yeah. It kind of had that feel though. It kind of
it
had
that feel of epicness that gave
Yeah.
me chills.
Yeah.
I got little goosies, you know?
little goosies.
Little goosies.
No, but right now, I mean, it comes out right after Bad Batch ends.
Which is fantastic, where you get a constant stream
Yep.
of Star Wars content, which is what we've been wanting. And to carry us through the month of May, we have the Tales of the Empire, leading up to the Acolyte.
But first, before we touch on Acolyte, if you had to give it a number for Tales of the Empire, what would you give it right now?
Oh, honestly, like a 9.2.
9.2. I was gonna say a solid 8. A solid 8.
A 9.2. Yeah, I'm gonna go high on that one just because I've been waiting for some sort of Empire like villainous origin story type thing. I think those are the coolest type of stories, and we're gonna get an insight to how Inquisitors got trained.
Yep. And we get to see General Grievous in the updated Clone Wars art style, which
I kind of was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like when he came out, I was like, oh, yes, sir. Morgan Elsbeth is taking him on. Like, oh my God. It was so amazing.
But yeah, Acolyte, which you mentioned, and something that we've been very high on recently, honestly, because since that trailer came out,
this show.
Who are you? What show is this?
What is happening? This is the Roll for Dex podcast. Thank you. Welcome back. And so, yeah, the Acolyte. Help me.
I think it looks very good. I think it looks very promising. I'm very excited for a lot of the show, but there is still a little thorn in the back of my mind that says this is going to stab you in the back about 3 episodes in.
I really hope not, but like also going to be kind of sick just to see the High Republic era. Again, Trinity is going to save me from the Matrix.
Moss. is such an unintentionally perfect casting. Because like
It just
you see her
the
and you think of
martial arts, dude,
well, so
is
that's
gonna
the thing.
be sick.
I think if they lean into like the kung fu karate esque fight style, fight choreo, make it feel a little bit more elevated to have some sword play as well. I think it could do really well. I think
See,
it could be awesome.
I need martial artists doing martial artist things. I don't
Yeah.
need and again, not to knock Rosario Dawson. She did great.
She gave it her all. She
She
gave it
gave
her
it her
all.
all, but she is just not there on lightsaber skills. Like there's a clear and
Um,
distinct difference in the amount of training that she did in preparation for her role
yeah.
comparative to like Hayden and Ewan for any of their things.
Well, and that's kind of the thing that I think hurt her the most in a sense is while we loved getting Anakin and Ahsoka, I think that really showcased how much better of a swordsman Hayden was and the
But
others
like,
are.
and that's the craziest thing is like Ahsoka's supposed to be one of the only people who can keep up with this dude.
And here's the thing, Rosario drastically, in my opinion, looked more comfortable and looked better when dealing with one saber. When she did the two is when it looked a little bit
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
because she's hesitant because she's trying not to
Yeah.
like hit things and stuff like that. But like at that point, like what are we doing? Come on, like don't destroy the character because you don't like. And like this is gonna kind of sound like I'm knocking her, but like don't destroy one of my favorite characters because you didn't put in enough work.
Yes. Now, granted, I think how they'll do it or whatever is this is an older version of the character, blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
She's not as
bleh.
refined. Yes, I know.
Yoda was still hopping around like a little ninja right up until the day he died.
Do you know? Do you know that? Have you seen that?
Yo, I'm gonna be real. Old Yoda would absolutely wipe Ahsoka.
Yeah, because old Yoda
Like
would just
I'm
have to
talking
think
like
a thought and she would go
Dagobah,
flying off into
Luke.
space.
I'm
Yeah.
talking like Luke's insane Yoda teacher on Dagobah would wipe Ahsoka.
Well, yeah, no, because he doesn't need a saber. He could just think a thought and you go flying off into space. You know what I mean? Like he's
like
that in tune.
it shouldn't be like that. Like she should be more powerful with age. It should be fine wine, not spoiled milk.
Powerful, yes. Swordsmanship abilities, I think we could make the argument that
But like
is what would
even her
falter.
force abilities are kind of lackluster.
I mean, we've seen her do the psychometry or whatever they're calling it, the sensing of past things, kind of like what Cal can do.
Yeah, which is kind of cool, but we've also seen Anakin literally stop a ship from taking off.
Vader, yes, and then rip the side of the hull off.
But like I'm also talking Clone Wars. Like
Oh, fair.
in Clone Wars, Anakin did that as well. Like
Yeah.
like what are we doing?
I think there's still time. I think if we were to get a movie rather than a TV show, I think we would probably see more because the budget would be better. But who knows? Who knows?
I'd like to see like Ashley. I'd like to see Ashley play Ahsoka Tano in her own type of movie where it's like,
Interesting.
well, so Rosario Dawson plays like an older version of Ahsoka. There's a lot of time missing there.
Oh, so you want to see basically Ashley pick up? I mean, they can't because unless they were to do like a Rebels season 1.5. You know what I mean? Because that's the only time that we're missing now.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
But who knows? As far as the Acolyte goes, we
Well,
can keep on the Ahsoka talk. But as far as the Acolyte goes, what would you rate the Acolyte right now?
The Acolyte's gonna be easy 8.5.
I'll do 6.5.
8.5. Come on, come up a little bit. You can't stay that
I'll do
low.
7.
Carrie Ann Moss is in this.
I know. I'll do 7.
The only way it drops below a 7 is if she dies.
Wild. wild.
I
But
know.
no,
Hot take. But
I'll go 7 right now. I'll go 7 right now. Excited for it, looking forward to it. But yes, this Ahsoka stuff. I don't know. I feel like I see what you're saying. I don't think it's destroying the character, but I feel like the
well, they
one
destroyed
skill
Sabine, so
I hoped and prayed that this wasn't going to come up again.
of course it's going to come up. Sabine should not use the Force, and here's why.
I have written an essay.
I have a PowerPoint presentation with several pages on
If
why
you
Sabine
have
should not use the Force.
If you have 7 hours right now, I'd like to take you through it.
You know what? Sure, give her a lightsaber. That's fine.
Yeah. But
She doesn't need the
it's
Force.
just the Force part
Doesn't
of
need
it.
the Force. Doesn't need the Force. I don't believe her. And
I-
I truly believe that Hu Yang deserves the Force more than she does. And he's a droid. General Grievous deserves to wield the Force as a robot rather than Sabine.
You hurt me. I want you to know.
I'm just speaking facts.
You're feeking. You're feeking.
You're feeking.
Rafiki, you're speaking for yourself. I think it's fine. I think that what they gave us is enough for me to be largely okay with it.
No. I refuse. Sabine sucks, and I kind of hope she dies in season 2.
Fair.
Unfortunately, it would be that gut wrenching death that would send Ezra into like a violent rage, and
which I mean, I'd be
kind of
down to see.
nuts. It'd be so sick.
Yeah,
but yeah, she don't need to use the Force.
Here, real quick before we devolve into what this utter chaos is going to be for the last half of this, I did just want to say something. You were kind of down for the count yesterday, and so I didn't text you about this, but I yesterday all day binged the entire first season of Fallout.
Oh, we're gonna watch the rest of it today.
It has no reason, and we don't have to touch on it.
It's so good.
Any more than this. It has no reason to be as good as it is.
It is fantastic. You know what? Next week we'll probably end up talking about Fallout.
Here's
next
what
week's next week's episode is going to be Fallout.
Here's what I'll say, and then we'll go into these debates. It very well could turn into the next Game of Thrones.
I mean, this thing is awesome.
It's so good. But
the storytelling's fantastic.
Oh, the writing is phenomenal. But yes, Connor, for the last part of this, wanted to go into.
I wanted to fight.
Yeah, no, he really chose violence today. So he put up 3 very distinct, all very bullshit debates, and he wants to talk about them. Connor, would you like to describe the first one?
Yeah. So, who do you think would win in a fight? An old as fuck Anakin Skywalker. He's at least 80 to 85, but he never lost his limbs in his fight with Obi-Wan.
Or so it's that Anakin versus Gandalf the Grey from Lord of the Rings, but
they
Gandalf,
both have lightsabers
and access
to their abilities, their respective abilities. Who do you think wins?
So what it comes down to, so I don't remember, what is your knowledge base with Lord of the Rings? I don't remember.
I know
if you're
next to nothing.
Great. Okay, so then I will be the preeminent expert here. The question comes down to, is Anakin more or less powerful than a Balrog? A demon, essentially. A magical demon who is also a part god.
Okay. I would also counter with the gods of Mortis and how he kind of bodied both of them at the same time.
Fuck. But it's the weaker version of Gandalf. I think genuinely what it comes down to, I think it comes down to swordsmanship skills. I, I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the
Oh,
day.
and this sucks for you then.
But he's 80. But he's 80.
He's still fucking nuts. It's still Anakin, and he still has all of his limbs.
Oh, you hurt me.
And he can use the Force.
But Gandalf can use magic.
What magic? So this is a genuine question. What magic does he have?
So it's not like the type of magic that you think of when you think of magic like Harry Potter. It's more of a celestial kind of power base. The main things that we see him do are shields, a little bit of damage and destruction. Nothing really elemental. Um, but yeah.
So what I'm
So
hearing is that he's a bitch, and that Anakin would force choke his ass through his shield.
but if it's but if it's Anakin, Anakin wouldn't force choke or do lightning.
I mean, by default, he still fought Obi. He just didn't lose his limbs. So yes.
Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Wait. Because this is a very important question. Are you saying that this is still dark side Anakin?
Yes.
Or okay, so then I think Anakin wins. Even at 80 to 85.
Yeah,
I think
I didn't think this one was. I wanted to hurt you and make you admit that Anakin would wipe the floor with Gandalf.
Gandalf the White, I think, would beat Anakin, but Gandalf the Gray, I don't think would.
I would change the situation for Gandalf the White to what if Anakin was in his prime?
No, then Anakin wins because Gandalf's like 3,000 years old at that point.
Yikes.
Okay, so there's that one. The second one, I think you and I will have a much easier time agreeing here.
See, I don't know about this.
Why?
This could be interesting.
So this one is a very young Ahsoka and Captain
I'm talking
Rex.
like end
Clone
of
Wars
the Clone
movie?
Wars movie.
Okay. So
like
still,
she's got some training under her belt,
but still hasn't been around that long.
Hasn't been around super long, but it's also Captain Rex in his prime.
Okay. Versus 8 Death Eaters from Harry Potter.
Yeah, like the 8 top Death Eaters. Like I'm thinking like Snape might be even included in this.
Like
because he was a Death Eater.
Yeah, so like Bellatrix, I'm gonna blank on all the other ones.
Oh yeah, no, like Lucius,
Bellatrix.
Hold
Snape.
on, I'm gonna look at most powerful Death Eaters. Harry Potter.
I think what it comes down to is how do we equate Harry Potter magic versus the Force? Because
let's see. Who the fuck are these people?
Because in theory, and this is just my thinking, Rex is the only one that is range for Ahsoka versus for Ahsoka and Rex versus the Death Eaters. The Death Eaters don't have to let them get close. The Death Eaters can kill them from a distance.
That's also assuming that lightsaber cannot block a spell.
Ooh. You're really gonna go there.
I mean, you have to talk about it, right? Like I think it should depend on the spell.
Okay, so
like an Expelliarmus like can be blocked by a lightsaber.
So that
but
makes
then
sense.
We get into
That's
the
a disarming spell.
But now we get into the argument of like, what about Avada Kedavra? What about the killing curse?
I don't think you would be able to block the 3 unforgivables.
And I mean, they have no problem using that.
Correct.
So then you'd have to rely on the battle instincts of a young Ahsoka and in his prime Rex.
But they're also outnumbered.
They are outnumbered, but not outgunned.
But Not necessarily, but the Death Eaters again
Like, you
don't
also
have
got
to
to
let
think
them
about it.
get
Ahsoka's
close.
got. I'm playing both sides here. Ahsoka
Yeah.
does have the Force. She could just.
But would you do that to all at that age? Could she do that to all 8 of them at one time? I don't
No,
think
not
she
at
could.
one time, but I mean, we're looking at the strategic abilities of Captain Rex, the battle experience of Captain Rex,
Okay.
and the impressionability of a young Ahsoka. So I think that the teachable moment here, she rises to the occasion that she's that's set in front of her. We see that over and over and over. Where Ahsoka fails, she always ends up rising to the occasion that she has in front of her eventually.
Fair, fair.
So
Um,
does that pairing now? It also, what kind of terrain are we in? Like, are we just in the open? Because if we're in the open, they're fucked.
who's fucked? Ahsoka and Rex or
Ahsoka
the
and
Death
Rex
Eaters?
are screwed if it's just like an open field battle.
Um, well, what's more fair? Light coverage? Do we want to like allow
I'm
that?
thinking
Like,
like the forests of Endor.
okay, so like the Death Eaters also have cover too.
Yes,
I don't know for this. I'm just I'm leaning Death Eaters. I'm not gonna lie to you.
that's interesting.
I'm
You
leaning
know,
Death
I
Eaters.
actually do. I don't know. Because what I mean, they have like shields, but they don't. Can a wizard's shield block a blaster bolt?
What do we see that shield block outside of spells? Do
Spells.
we
It's
see
just spells. I don't. Glass. All. So the shield that Dumbledore puts up when Voldemort throws the glass shards at him,
yeah.
he puts up that shield. The glass
And
passes
yeah,
through and turns
and
into
turns into
dust.
dust.
So
Yeah.
things still physical objects still pass through. They just might not be as
Yeah.
potent. But this is a blaster bolt. This is plasma.
So in theory, they could manipulate it. They could, flick it away.
But is it the same as one of those spells? Because if you look at it, those spells where they have like the Ghostbusters cross the streams type thing, like those types of spells are typically like, I mean, Harry versus Voldemort was
Sure.
Expelliarmus versus the Killing Curse.
But here's what I will say. I think if we
So
sit
do
here and
spells take different forms based off of what you're doing?
I think for the sake of this argument, looking at Star Wars versus Harry Potter, I think if we said, which we did earlier, that uh, the disarming spell Expelliarmus could be deflected by a lightsaber, I think that in turn means it could also interact with a blaster bolt.
Interesting. Good point.
Which to me, and like maybe that's just how we're looking at it, and like if you really looked at like the physics behind it, it's not how that would work, and that might change the answer. But I think if that's what we're saying, I
I mean,
think
that's
in that
fair.
case,
No, I think
yeah,
that's fair.
yeah. I think in that case, I think Death Eaters still win because they have more in their arsenal, and they can even cast spells without speaking.
I think in just like surprise attack terms, Death Eaters win. I think if Captain Rex and Ahsoka Tano have prep time and know their enemy,
I think the other part of it is it's an 8v2. I think if you were looking at a 2v2 or even a 4v2, I think that's a much harder fight for the Death Eaters.
I think I would drop it down to 5 Death Eaters.
5
5 Death Eaters versus Ahsoka and Rex.
5 might still go to the Death Eaters because then you could focus 3 Death Eaters on Ahsoka because she has the Force and 2 Death Eaters on Rex, who really only has gunfire and grenades. I think I would still give it Death Eaters on that one, but I think 4v2 and lower, I think you're looking at, if not a draw, Jedi. But that's just me. Who knows? Oh no, what are you Googling? Are you actually? Oh no, okay, I got you. Oh no. Oh no, you're adding more. You're adding more. What are you gonna say to that other half? What are you gonna say to that other
Oh, what was it? What was what, cut all this? Cut all the dead air out.
yeah. Was it like who was in the previous one?
No,
Goku versus Goku versus Neo.
Goku would wipe the floor with Neo.
If they're in the Matrix, though, Neo, I think, doesn't lose right away.
Wild take. Let's see. Who
Goku versus Mega Man.
I need I need somebody like crazy.
Goku versus Spyro.
Oh, I don't know who I had. I had like a real thought. Fuck.
It's just gone. It's just gone.
Oh my god.
Oh God. All right. Do we want to talk about that one?
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Uh,
Goku versus Superman. Who you got?
but they're both Superman in a sense.
I think, in my opinion,
And now, granted, you are much more well versed, I think, on both DC and Dragon Ball than I am.
I don't really know too much. Like DC's a little dark horse because their movies are trash. But like comic book Superman versus Goku. I think Goku wipes the fucking floor with him. Like he's indestructible without like
Hold on.
kryptonite.
So important question. Important question. Which Goku? Is this Super Saiyan? Is this
Oh,
Super Saiyan
are we
Mega?
limiting?
I mean, that's the question, because if we're not limiting, I think it's Goku.
If we're unlimiting power, then yes, Goku wins 10 out of 10 times
Yeah,
because he
no.
can just alter. Like at this point, he could alter
He would turn him to
instinct,
dust. Yeah, no, he
and
would
it would
turn him
be
to dust.
absolute. Like Goku is insanely. I don't think there's a more powerful being than Goku. I'm not even gonna put a versus on this. Who could beat Goku? I challenge you to fight Goku. Who you bringing?
Natsu from Fairy Tail, probably.
Excuse me?
You haven't seen Fairy Tail. Or you could do any number of the Fairy Tail cast, I think. Maybe the power scale's a little weird going cross like that. But I don't know enough about Goku to say who could.
I
beat
mean,
him,
that's
to be
fair.
honest. I don't really
That's fair.
know. I don't really know fucking Dragon Ball. But no. Well, what's another good?
Well, the last one I had here was Legolas versus Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan has to use a sword, but can still use the Force.
I think Legolas wins.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, this one I might have to die on this hill. Obi-Wan wins this fight.
Why?
He can use the Force.
And he's a Jedi. So what would he be able to do?
I mean, as soon as Legolas, like, first of all, Jedi instincts.
Sure, elf instincts.
Sure, but like he's shooting arrows at.
He has swords too.
I understand, but I'm saying like he jumps up like his normal starting move. He's like always the one that runs, jumps up in the air. You know, The
Sure.
listeners are going to be so confused. But like,
What is
he
he
jumps
doing?
up, fires arrows down at his
Yeah.
opponent. Sure. Obi-Wan can stop those with the Force. And then just whoosh, like absolutely body him and send him off a cliff, in my
Sure.
opinion.
I think if you say it's gonna stay like a distance match, I think sure. I think that's fine giving it to Obi-Wan. But I think that the second that it becomes close quarters, I think that Legolas would, because Legolas is a better swordsman than Obi-Wan is. I think Anakin would be a better swordsman fight for a Legolas.
See,
But
I still think that Obi-Wan could handle Legolas in a sword fight. And the reason I say this
okay, yeah,
is because we see him fight Grievous with 4 lightsabers.
sure.
So his translation from lightsaber to sword, let's assume that he can wield a sword just as well as he would wield a lightsaber.
It would make sense.
So by that logic alone, if he's able to anticipate and move through use of use of the Force, the guidance of the Force, like anticipating people's like movements and all of that type of stuff,
Yeah.
like I think he can pull it off. I think it's a lot closer than you think.
It might be. It might be. Personally, I mean, so then what are we saying?
Like, because
Are
you
we
also got to
saying
think
that
about
it
it.
gets
Like,
close?
Obi-Wan gives Anakin at prime strength a run for his money. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, they are trying to kill each other.
True.
And they
Okay.
are very evenly matched. And to your point, Anakin was a much better swordsman, but Obi-Wan was able to keep up with him and won that fight.
All right. Fine. Fine. I will concede.
No, no, no. I'm not
No,
asking
no,
you
no,
to concede.
no,
I'm
no,
just
no, no,
I'm
no, no, no,
saying
I
like,
know.
like I
Well,
think
no, but like your
Obi-Wan is
argument
a
makes
better
sense. Yeah.
swordsman than you originally gave him credit for.
Yeah.
Now, I think Legolas brings a very interesting aspect to this fight in the
Yeah.
sense that he is both ranged and close quarters.
Yeah. Like he can
He's
get
got
you
a lot
both
of tricks up
ways.
his sleeves. He's an elf. He moves around the terrain. We
You
also got
can't
to
knock
talk
him
about
off
which
balance.
terrain.
Yeah.
Like, if Obi-Wan force pushes him, he's gonna land on a tree and bounce back.
Yeah.
He's gonna be able to fire off 6 arrows and like it. I
Yeah.
think this fight
No,
is
like,
so
yeah.
much closer than like the more we dive into it. But I think in the end, Obi-Wan wins.
And I will give in to the fact that I think you're right. I think that um Obi-Wan is a better swordsman than I gave him credit for initially. So, yes, it's a lot closer. I I would probably still lean Legolas, but I understand the Obi-Wan argument. If he has a sword, if he has a lightsaber, it's a no contest. It's Obi-Wan the entire time. But
Yeah.
but if it's a sword versus a sword, not a lightsaber, then I think that it could go either way. But I'd probably still take Legolas.
Well, I guess the world may never know unless somebody makes it so. Let's get a
Yep.
game going. Let's get this in a game. I want to see it.
Hell yeah. I
For once and
listen.
for all, let's do Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars.
No, but like genuinely, I would love a game that was Harry Potter
Like the
versus Lord of the
deadliest
Rings
warrior of fantasy
versus Star
games.
Wars, but like Super Smash style. So like you have like Geralt in there. You have, like you,
Oh, jeez.
you but I I think it'd be a really cool like a fantasy like Super Smash game. That's not Mario or Nintendo related.
You know, that sounds better than Outlaws. So,
That's
on
fair.
that note, do you have anything else?
Outside of the fact that I'm looking forward to talking about Fallout next week, because holy crap, that show blew my mind.
Fallout next week. Be here, be square. It's time. I'm looking for a thing to to end it up on, but I can't find a good one. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Roll for Dex podcast. Of course, my name is Connor.
My name is Ian.
And thank you so much for listening. Have a great evening.